What's up, YouTube? Handlebar Mike here with a tobacco history lesson, I guess we'll call it that. I am going to talk to you guys about what I am smoking in this little clay hand bowl here and give you kind of a first impressions on it, because this is only my fourth bowl of it. So give you kind of first impressions on that. But more importantly, the main point of this video is to talk about Lakeland tobaccos in general. I want to talk about what is a Lakeland tobacco. I want to talk about what is considered a Lakeland Essence, or why things are considered Lakeland Essences. And I'm going to talk about my opinion on where I think it came from. Okay, and I've done a little bit of research on this. The interwebs have helped me out on this, and I do have some notes written down here that I will be referring to. So first and foremost, Lakeland Tobaccos is really a regional designation. It's kind of like Bordeaux wines, has to come from the Bordeaux region in France. So Lakeland Tobaccos have to come from the Lake District in England. Which Kendal is one of the areas, or one of the towns in the Lake District. And Samuel Gawith and Hoggarth are both located in Kendal, and they are Lakeland tobaccos purely from a regional perspective. They are the two major companies that are in that area. There might be other local blenders as well that we might not have access to unless we are boots on the ground in that area. But for the most part, what we have access to is Samuel Gawith and Hoggarth. Now let's talk a little bit about the history of those two companies, because it's really interesting. Samuel Gawith was basically started in 1792. There's a little bit of backstory there, but we will say that Samuel Gawith, the company that we know today, was founded in 1792. Eventually, there was two brothers involved with the company. There was Samuel Gawith and his brother John Gawith. In 1878, they decided to part ways. Okay, Samuel Gawith stayed with Samuel Gawith, and John, his brother, his younger brother, went and started Gawith and Hoggarth. Now, who the heck is Hoggarth, and where did that come from? Well, Henry Hoggarth was a trusted friend of the family and actually a trustee within the tobacco company, and he decided to go with John when they split off. Both of them established the companies, or John established the company in Kendal as well, with basically competition for Samuel in the same marketplace. Now, they are tremendously old companies. So like I said, started in 1792, split in 1878. Cool thing about them is they've actually come back together. In 2015, the two companies did merge back together. So the two brothers are back together, basically. They are run by the same company, or they are the same company, the same management, everything else. They do operate independently. Samuel Gawith does still use the original machinery from the Samuel Gawith company, as well as the same people and blenders and everything else. They have moved into the Gawith and Hoggarth facility because, from what I understand, it was much, much bigger. But it is all the original equipment and everything else. So they are kind of two independent brands, but under the same name, which is kind of cool. Like I said, it started as a family business, split apart because of brothers, and then finally came back together, which I think is pretty cool. Now let's talk about Lakeland Essence. The flavoring that we typically refer to when we're talking about Lakeland tobaccos, okay? So again, Lakeland tobacco is a regional term. So if any tobacco is made in the Lake District, it is considered Lakeland. Lakeland Essence is a flavoring profile that we have come to know from basically these two companies, Samuel Gawith and Gawith and Hoggarth. Gawith and Hoggarth a little bit more than Samuel Gawith in today's world. But you got to understand, these are old companies. So there was purity laws in England. Back in the day, there was old English purity laws, and they're kind of like, I refer to them as like the Reinheitsgebot in Germany, which is a beer purity law. And the beer purity law in Germany says your beer can only have water, malt, hops, and yeast. That's it. No other adjuncts or flavorings. Well, the tobacco purity laws in England basically said you can't have any artificial flavoring. Any flavoring that you do use must be a very small percentage, first of all, of the overall tobacco. And it has to be a flavoring that is natural and able to be dissolved in either alcohol or water. So there was a restriction on what the blenders were able to do in England. And this actually spurred an incredible thing for us as pipe smokers, because what happened was the pipe tobacco companies and blenders, they needed to stand out in some way. They needed to be able to put their fingerprint on their tobacco and make it different, because otherwise it's just straight tobacco. So going forward. And we do see a lot of additional processes where they weren't adding flavoring, they were just treating the tobaccos in different ways, like steaming or pressing. We see a lot of the plugs and a lot of the cakes and stuff like that. You have pressure. When you add pressure, it creates heat, which will change the sugar structure and stuff like that in the tobacco, make it taste differently. We have steam treating and stuff like that. So you can see you have, like rope tobacco is a great example. The Kendall Brown opposed to like the Black XX. All right, they're the same base tobaccos. One is just processed with a steam process, which is the black, and that's why it gives it that darker color and different flavor. So we saw a lot of great innovation that we enjoy today because of these purity laws. Now, in the Kendall area with Samuel Gawith and Hoggarth, what they have also decided to do is they wanted to add some of these flavorings in to make a very unique. So we have these new processes, these new taste profiles in our tobaccos that we can play with and blend those together. But on top of that, we want to add a little something else to make us differently. So that's where they started looking at these additional flavors. And what I believe they found was floral flavors can be used very, very minimally to get a very big impact. They're very powerful juju, basically, okay? So they can add a very tiny amount of this flavoring, staying within the purity laws with no problem, and get a big impact on the actual tobacco flavor itself. You also need to think about the time frame of this. So we're talking about the late 1700s, 1800s, early 1900s as well. And what we see is in that time period, there was a lot more floral type of things used in everyday cooking even. We see a lot of rose water being used to flavor certain things. We see a lot of sweets and cakes being flavored with floral essences because sugar was not super abundant unless you were really well off in England and everything else. So we don't see a lot of super sweets. We see a lot of these unique flavor profiles that came from cakes and cooking as well. So it was much more common to have that taste profile of that floralness in day-to-day life, basically. So that is my opinion on where that floral essence came from. Is they said, hey, we got to stay within these purity laws. We want to get the best bang for our buck. Let's use floral essence because that'll do a little drop goes a really, really long way. So I think that's where it kind of came from. And again, that end part is kind of just me being detective, if you want to think of it that way. From what I've researched and what I've read, this is kind of what I've concluded. There's no hard evidence of this. This is just how I'm feeling about it. So let's talk about the tobacco that I am smoking. I am smoking Ennerdale from Gawith and Hoggarth. Now, from what I understand, this is a great example of a Lakeland tobacco as far as the essence goes. Now, on the back of the tin, it does say it is Virginia's, Burley's, and sun-cured tobaccos with flavors of almond, vanilla, and various fruits. When I stick my nose into this jar right here and take a big old sniff of it, I definitely get some fruitiness. I get some citrus, which is probably bergamot. At the time, you see like Earl Grey tea and stuff like that. It uses a lot of bergamot. In England, we see bergamot quite a bit. A lot of snuffs have bergamot to it as well, and some people like it, some people don't. But I definitely get that flavor profile through the smell. The other thing is the almonds. It smells like marzipan. My mom used to make little marzipan fruits and figures and stuff like that during the holidays. And I definitely get that nuttiness, that marzipan. And marzipan, if you're not familiar with it, it's basically a paste that is made from sugar, honey, and almond meal, so ground up almonds, basically. But I definitely get that in the smell as well. And then there is this floralness. So it doesn't actually say anything about floral or flowers in the description, but when they say various fruits, they might also be referring to fruit blossoms as well. So you might be getting some of that floralness from a fruit, but it's not the actual fruit itself. It's not the essence of the fruit. It's the essence of the blossom from the tree or from the bush that fruit is from. So So I think, that's where, they're not specifically saying floral or flowers, but we do see maybe possibly some of the fruit flavoring. What they are referring to is maybe some of the blossoms. Now, I'm at 10 minutes already, which is a little bit longer than I want it to be. As far as my first impressions on the video, on the tobacco here, from what I understand, Lakeland Essence is either love it or hate it type of thing. I like it. I enjoy it. I have enjoyed a lot of snuffs in the past that were floral scented snuffs. I do enjoy some foods that are flavored or scented with rose water as well. So I've had no issues with that. I don't get much, some people refer to it as a soapy taste. I don't get soapiness from it. I do get the floral perfumey type taste. I know James Pottsville Piper refers to it as the bottom of my grandmother's purse, that sort of thing. I don't mind it. I do enjoy it. It is a slow smoking tobacco though. If you go hot and fast with this tobacco, it does get bitter, in my opinion, what I've seen. I will do a much more in-depth review on the Ennerdale once I have some more bowls put through. Now, I am using clay pipes for this with the Lakelands. From what I understand, Lakelands are notorious for ghosting pipes. I might pick a briar to dedicate to Lakeland. I don't know. I like my clay pipes, though, so I'll just keep using these to taste it and everything else. But it is a nice smoke. It's not something that I don't think I could smoke all day, every day, but it's definitely a nice change up from just straight tobaccos or aromatics. It is a traditional English aromatic from this specific region, from the Lake District region within England. So I think it is a time capsule within and of itself. I think it is a history lesson for us as pipe smokers to experience. You either are going to like it or you're not going to like it. It doesn't seem like there's many people that are middle ground with it. So it is what it is. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Again, I found a lot of this information online. It's not that hard to dig around using my friend Google. And, yeah, with that, we'll call it quits. Don't forget, pack a bowl, light it up, burn it down, relax, enjoy. I'll see you guys online next time. Have a great rest of the day.